Have you ever gotten through a perfect opening where every piece is developed, but then realized you have zero plan for how to actually attack? Well, today I'm going to show you a concept that solves this problem completely. A pawn break is a pawn advance that was usually used in endgames to create passed pawns. But what many people miss is that it is also used in the middle game to change the structure and open up activity for your pieces. Here are some of the notes, but we'll go through them in detail later. In most of the games, pawn breaks happen near the head of a pawn chain. Take this structure as an example. If white played the move c4, black can choose to take or allow white to take, but there's no way for him to stop white from opening up the c file. Next, white can just bring the rook and enjoy this beautiful file. The reason that we should aim for the head of a pawn chain is because they are the most overextended pawn. If we would like to challenge this pawn on d5, we just need to play the move c4. If we would like to challenge this pawn on e6, we would need to play f4 and f5. However, we should also pay attention to the concept of pawn islands. In this position, if we play the move c4, and after the move c6 takes, e4, and after white recaptures the pawn with a piece, we can see that white has 3 pawn islands, while black only has 2 pawn islands. And this pawn on d4 is an isolated pawn where there is no c or e pawn to support him. Let's take a look at an example. Here, black played the move queen to e6, renewing the threat on c5. If we defend passively by playing a move like pawn to b4, then it is black who's going for the pawn break by playing the move b6. And after the trade, we can see that the rook scope and the bishop's diagonal are opened. However, it is us to move in this position, and we have our own beautiful pawn break, e4. And by playing e4, we are essentially opening up the e file for our rook. And if black decides to take our pawn on e4, then we can just take back with the knight, where it will protect this pawn on c5 and eyeing on this beautiful square on d6. And if black doesn't choose to take the pawn on e4, but instead choose to take the pawn on c5, then we can just go for the intermediate move, pawn takes d5, and after takes, we could just trade everything, and you'll see that this pawn on d5 is actually hanging. Let's take a look at another example. In this position, white just took on d5 and black recaptured with the e-pawn. Now, even though the c-file is opened for white, this pawn on c6 is well protected at the moment, and a move like e4, as mentioned before, would mean that white has damaged his own pawn structure, and black could just bring the rook on e8 to attack this queen on the e-file. So, what is the right approach in this position? Here, white played the move b4. Now, instead of attacking the head of the pawn chain, we are threatening to attack this potential weakness on c6. It is worth noting that the trade on d5 has allowed us to split black's pawn structure into 2 pawn islands, and with a move like b5, we are threatening to further damage black's pawn structure into 3 pawn islands. After something like b5 and the trade, you can see that this pawn on b7 and the pawn on d5 are both very weak. The function of pawn break is evident. Through the 2 pawn breaks, we have not only opened up the b and c file for our rook's use, but also exposed black's pawn to be attacked. I think it's pretty clear that if b6 ever happened, we can just go for the 3rd pawn break and finally isolate this a pawn to be a permanent weakness for us to attack. Therefore, in the future, after we developed all our pieces, we should look for potential pawn breaks to further activate our pieces and create weaknesses.